Good evening, and welcome to this evening's special council meeting. I'd like to welcome members of council, members of staff, those joining virtually, and members in the gallery, including media. We will begin this meeting by acknowledging that we are gathering on the land that has been inhabited by Indigenous peoples since time immemorial. We would like to recognize that we are in the Robinson Superior Treaty Territory, and the land on which we are gathered today is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe. Specifically, we acknowledge the neighboring community of Mishpecountn First Nation, for whom we have great respect. We also recognize the contributions of all Indigenous people, including the Métis, in shaping and strengthening the community and province of Ontario. Thank you, and Miigwech. We will now move on to item number 2, disclosure of pecuniary interest. Hearing and seeing none, members of council can have the opportunity to declare throughout the meeting. Item number 3, approval of the agenda. 3.1, approval of the agenda.
Moved by Councillor Pado, seconded by Councillor Hatfield. Resolved that the agenda for the special meeting of council scheduled for Monday, April 28, 2025, be approved as presented.
All in favor? Carried. There are no delegations or presentations, so we will move on to item number 5, announcements and giving of notice. Are there any announcements by members of council? Hearing none, I will take the time to make a few different announcements today. First off, today is federal election day, so a reminder that the polls are open for 12 hours across the country. In Wawa, residents can vote until 9:30 p.m. at Mishpecountn Memorial Community Centre. Please take the time, get out and vote. This is very, very important, and this election will certainly impact the community of Wawa and our daily lives. Item number 2, National Volunteer Week runs from April 27th to May 4th. So I wanted to take the time to just make a note to thank volunteers. We celebrate the contributions that volunteers make to our community by sharing their skills, time, and love for Wawa. They strengthen our community, and I just want to ask to please keep up the good work. Our community is better because of you, and so many of our community groups would not exist without the volunteers in our community. And so thank you very much for that, and a big thanks to members of council who volunteer an enormous amount of their time to our community. With that said, we will move on to item number 6, new business. 6.1, AP Memo Award Contract for RFP 2025, mural supply and install along Broadway Avenue. Mr. Patterson, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So a relatively simple memo in front of you, very similar to other RFP result memos where we inform council of the results of the RFP as well as recommend a proponent. So in this case, we received 2 proposals for our RFP for the installation of a mural. One proposal was from Drift Mural Company and the second was from Intergraphics. The proposal from Drift Mural Company was a little bit different than the RFP was looking for. So as council knows, we had spec'd a 3M product, which is what the mural on the side of the old Bank of Montreal building is now. And Drift came up with a proposal to actually physically paint the mural. So a couple of differences there that we had to investigate because of course it wasn't the specification. Typically we found, and the reason we specified the 3M product is because it was cheaper to install, and we have some experience in the community that it held up quite well. But as you can see, the proposal from Drift Mural was the cheaper of the 2 proposals. And scoring both of the proposals, the one from Intergraphics was essentially a single-page quote, whereas the second one from Drift Mural was a 26-page proposal that included a lot of different artwork that they've done throughout the country. So we were interested in considering it just because they did such a good job on the proposal. Through the magic of Google Street View, we were able to cross-reference a bunch of their murals with actual like Street View footage from 2024 and 2025, so we could see how they held up compared to their install dates. And some of the murals were going on 10 years and looked quite new and in good shape, even in some very high traffic areas in downtown Ottawa where we were able to take a look at them. So that being said, a little bit different than the specifications, but we are recommending awarding to Drift Mural Company based on their proposal. Within this, I hadn't heard back from the company yet, but they followed up on Saturday with me, and they gave me some specifications for the paint. They thought that it would hold up with the anti-graffiti coating with up to 15 years. And like I said, they've had murals hold up for 10 years without any significant issues. The anti-graffiti coating as well, unlike the 3M sticker where you would have to replace a panel, that stuff is designed to essentially be recoated, be cleaned and recoated if there was any damage to it. So based on the proposal, specifically based on the proposal price, which was the cheapest of the two, and of the fact that we believe that we'll be getting a similar, if not better, product by having them up to paint it, we're very comfortable recommending that Drift Mural Company be awarded the proposal.
Thank you very much, Alex, for your presentation. I'll open it now to questions from council. Councillor Hatfield?
Alex, how are they cleaning that wall up?
They're going to have to do some surface prep, which is included in this as well. So essentially, the company, who I understand is a team of two, they'll come up, they'll rent a lift, they will do the surface prep on the wall, which is essentially going to have to be scraping it and maybe some light sanding before they apply their paints and then the graffiti coating on top of it.
Because it's in a rough shape. Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments? Councillor Cannon?
Look through them all and that, and they do look beautiful. How long will they say that they will come back and redo it if it doesn't last 15 years?
They haven't put any express warranty in their proposal. Now, don't get me wrong, it's something we can talk to them about. The email that they sent me on Saturday was fairly detailed, and they said that, we can expect 10 plus years, to a minimum of 15, but that's all they said was expectation. So I'd have to enter into some type of discussion with them about if there would be additional charges or if there would be a warranty for maintenance or things like that.
Yeah, because with the 3M, is that warranted?
No, the 3M isn't warranted. So the 3M product, when it was used in the past, which wasn't by the municipality, but I was fairly familiar with the installation, it had an expected lifespan of 3 to 5 years, but they didn't put a warranty on it. It was just an expectation. So very similar to what this company is saying, like we expect it to last 10 years. Now, obviously, when we spec this, we were pretty comfortable with the 3M product because it's here, right?
Yep.
So we have like direct experience with it on a building in Wawa in our weather conditions. So it's there isn't like a difference between we have a warranty with this and we don't have a warranty with that. Both of them were expected lifespans.
Okay, yeah, because you were trying to go for the 3M because we know that it works, and then to try something else, I just want to make sure that if it doesn't go as according to plan, that they're liable, like they'll come back and fix it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So with this, this is essentially just recommending that council awards an RFP, but I don't have a contract done up yet. So if council's interested, that's something that I'll talk to the company about and add something into the contract for services of a warranty period of, if it makes sense, like I would say 5 years makes sense to me because that's what the 3M product would be expected to be. Okay. So I can add that into the contract if that's something council's interested in. And of course, the contract comes back to council for final signature.
I'm looking forward to it.
Are there any other questions or comments from council? Councillor Rapato?
I got one. Have you, that last hut that's up, are you going to move that? Because that obstructs the view of that building driving down Broadway Avenue. Was that taken into account or?
We don't have any, well, I shouldn't say that. We do have a plan right now to redo the Goose Nest Market, but it's just in a plan stage. So we have taken that into account when we have drawn out a new site plan for the revitalization of the market. But I would call that in the pre-funding stage. Like, it's essentially just an idea right now. So at the current time, no, we don't have any plans to move any of the nests for better viewing of the
The
mural.
only one you have to move is the last one, because you won't see anything until you drive past it. Because driving down Broadway or up Broadway Avenue, whatever way, you don't see it until you go by it.
Right.
So even just moving the last one into another row or backing it up or something, like, for the money involved to do this, like, people go by it before, then, oh, there it is. You don't, right now, you wouldn't see it at all.
Right.
Just asking.
Okay.
Thanks.
Councillor Hoffman?
Is the mural that's going on the building, is it going to cover the whole wall or just like top half of the wall?
The whole wall. So it, in the Beehive design, and I didn't include a picture here, I'm sorry, but they did do an example where they kind of projected it onto the wall so that people could see what it would look like roughly based on one of the pictures that I took just standing at the Goose Nest Market. So I think it's in a previous memo, but if you like, I could send you guys an email with that picture just to revisualize it.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. We look forward to seeing the finalized contract, and I'm curious based on Councillor Cannon's comments, I'm really curious to see if it's an industry standard to actually offer an express warranty. My hunch is that it may not be, but I think we probably still want to go ahead with it, because if it's not an industry practice, I don't think that they will offer it on a one-time basis. But certainly it doesn't hurt to ask. As Councillor Cannon mentioned, I mean, maybe we'll get lucky and they will. But yeah, definitely all great comments. And it looks like, based on the comments we received, that we're going to move forward with the recommendation of awarding the contract to Drift Mural as per your recommendation. As I did not see or hear any comments to the contrary. And I assume that we will, a bylaw to that effect will come back at a meeting in the future. There's a resolution tonight. Perfect.
Moved by Councillor Pato, seconded by Councillor Hatfield, whereas the Corporation of the Municipality received 2 proposals by the closing date of Friday, April 18th, 2025, for RFP 2025-01, mural supply and install along Broadway Avenue, and whereas staff believes that the price quoted in the proposal submitted by Drift Mural Co. is reasonable for the proposed work for this contract, and believes that the company is capable of carrying out and completing the work, be it resolved that Council of the Municipality Wawa accepts the recommendation from staff and awards the mural supply and install along Broadway Avenue to Drift Mural Company for an upset limit of $13,149 excluding HST, and further that Council directs that a formal contract be prepared and approved by bylaw at a future meeting date.
Wonderful. Thank you. Wonderful. Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Item 6.2, proclamation, Nursing Week, May 12th to May 18th, 2025.
Moved by Councillor Hatfield, seconded by Councillor Rapato, whereas registered nurses, registered practical nurses, and nurse practitioners are a key component of the healthcare system and have an important role to play in the community's lives by the nature of their professional judgment, compassion, and clinical expertise. And whereas nurses are trusted healthcare professionals and committed to preserving and protecting our public healthcare system, and whereas nurses advocate on behalf of their patients for an environment that promotes safe and quality patient care, dignity, and respect, and whereas nurses have the right to work in an environment that promotes safety, respect, and dignity for the nurse, and whereas maintaining a sustainable public healthcare system in Ontario depends on ensuring that nurses continue to play a central role in healthcare in institutions and in the community, and whereas the Ontario Nurses Association has declared Nursing Week 2025 in recognition that nurses change the lives by caring 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and to celebrate the way in which nurses contribute to deliver high-quality, safe patient care. And whereas ONA is the union representing more than 68,000 registered nurses, registered practical nurses, nurse practitioners, and healthcare professionals, and approximately 18,000 nursing student affiliates, now therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Municipality of Wawa does hereby proclaim the week of May 12th to 18th, 2025 as Nursing Week, and urge all citizens to join in celebration and recognition of the contribution of nurses and their unique ability to have a positive impact on the lives of those in their care in our community.
Are there any questions, comments? All in favor? Carried. Item 6.3, award contract for water intake ISIP project. Maury? Dan? Mr. Beach?
Try. This project is the water intake project down at the waterfront that goes to our pump house. It supplies all the water to the water treatment plant. So Crescent Engineering put out a tender to get this job done, to look for contractors. They put it to all the construction sites. And we had one bidder, LTL Directional. They're a new company that comes in and they directional drill. It's something a little different than what they had proposed, but it comes in within our budget, and we're going with Crescent's recommendation to get a contract with this company.
Thank you very much, Dan. Are there any questions, comments for Dan? Councillor Hatfield?
Dan, I've worked with LTL for many, many years. They're a very good group of men.
Are there any other questions, comments? There are no other comments. I wanted to thank you very much for the great report, Dan. It was really interesting reading, and I really am grateful that we are going to be carrying out this work. I understand that it does need to be done, and I think we're excited to move this project forward, and we are in alignment and to move this forward unanimously tonight. So we will go ahead with the resolution tonight.
Moved by Councillor Hatfield, seconded by Councillor Apado, whereas Crescent Engineering Corporation received one bid on Tuesday, April 15th, 2025 for Wawa Contract 2025-01 Drinking Water System Intake Rehabilitation, and presented the tender report and its recommendations to staff and council to accept the one tender price received to complete the work, and whereas KEC believes that the price quoted in the tender submitted by LTL Directional Drilling Services Limited is reasonable for the proposed work for this contract, and believes that the company is capable of carrying out and completing the work, be it resolved that Council of the Municipality of Wawa accepts the recommendation from Crescent Engineering Corporation and awards the drinking water system rehabilitation tender to LTL Directional Drilling Services Limited for an upset limit of $2,774,072.94, excluding HST, and further council directs that a formal contract be prepared and approved by bylaw at a future meeting.
All in favor? Carried. Item 6.4, Proclamation Moose Hide Campaign Day, May 15th, 2025.
Moved by Councillor Hoffman, seconded by Councillor Cannon. Whereas the Moose Hide Campaign is an Indigenous-led grassroots movement of men, boys, and all Canadians standing up to end violence against women, children, and all those along the gender continuum. And whereas the Moose Hide Campaign was founded along the Highway of Tears in British Columbia in response to the injustices and violence faced by many women and children in Canada, particularly those who are Indigenous, whereas intimate partner violence is at an epidemic proportion across Canada, with more than 4 in 10 women having experienced it in their lifetime, and this reality is worse for Indigenous women who are twice as likely to experience violence from their current or former partners. whereas the Moose Hide campaign has distributed over 6 million Moose Hide pins that each spark 5 conversations about issues of violence against women, children, and all those along the gender continuum. Whereas wearing the Moose pin demonstrates a commitment to honor, respect, and protect the women and children in our lives, end gender-based violence, and take meaningful action towards reconciliation with Indigenous peoples. Whereas participation in the Moose Hide campaign is a concrete action for all citizens to address the legacies of colonization, residential schools, and the reality of more than 1,200 missing or murdered women in Canada. And whereas engagement with the Moose Hide campaign aligns with the United Nations Declaration on the Right of Indigenous Peoples, the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's calls for action, and the calls for justice of the National Inquiry into Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls. Now therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Municipality of Wawa does hereby proclaim May 15th, 2025 as Moose Hide Campaign Day, and that the Municipality of Wawa staff promote the passage of this resolution on the appropriate corporate communications channels.
Questions, comments? The only thing that I'll add before we officially pass is that I think this is really important for the municipality of Wawa to pass and make this proclamation for a number of reasons. Certainly because it's an important issue, but also because I learned today in my Indigenous Advisory Council meeting that over 70% of Indigenous peoples living in Canada today are urbanized Indigenous people. It's so important that municipalities begin to raise awareness and be part of reconciliation, full partners in reconciliation. And I think this is one way for the municipality of Wawa to do that. So with that, I'll ask, all in favor? Carried. Item 6.5, CAO Report 2025-5, Mishpahant First Nation Additions to Reserve. Maury?
Thank you, Mayor. This is a follow-up report summarizing some of the information that Council received from a PowerPoint presentation provided by the chief at the time and their Additions to Reserve staff, who presented to Council an outline of what Michipicoten First Nation is doing in terms of a process to add properties that they currently own, located within the municipality of Wawa, but adding it to their reserve lands. So in summary, when Michipicoten First Nation sent a letter to Mayor and Council and then provided a presentation to better Council's understanding of the process, they did request that the municipality respond in writing to the Michipicoten peoples of their support or concerns or position regarding the proposed additions to reserves. So my summary report is just to summarize the highlights of that proposal for Council, but also summarize staff's recommendations to Council that would set out some concerns that we may have, and make sure that in our letter of response to Michipicoten due by May 4th, that we note these concerns with the understanding that we're just sharing our concerns. There's no intent that these issues need to be resolved at this time. It's just noting them for the record, and in time, working together with Michipicoten and Indigenous Services Canada and the partners involved, look to work collaboratively to perhaps resolve some of these concerns. So in summary for Council, I did attach the original letter for Council to reference. They're looking to add 7 parcels of property to the reserve and have asked us to join in supporting their process. But our input is to note our concerns in writing, but we have no veto power. So we don't have the right or the authority or responsibility to say that we are not in favor, or we are in favor, either position, in that has any bearing on the process. But obviously we're being asked for our opinion so they can consider anything that the municipality may have to say. So the concerns of note that we do believe, as presented in the PowerPoint, was highlighted in respect to there's ways and ideas set out to resolve these issues, whether it be through committees, joint committees with each party, or conversations or other means. There are some ways to resolve any concerns, and the number one concern of note that staff would like to share with council and share with Mitch McCotton, which they are aware of because I've noted it with them before, is the Harbor Road ownership in that particular parcel of property that runs from just outside the Sandy Beach to almost the fork in the road that goes to other properties, including Mitch McCotton, is that ownership of that road needs to be confirmed. And if it is necessary, some mechanism, whether it be a joint services agreement or whether that particular road be taken out of the land to be transferred to reserve, but that to protect and ensure that other properties within the municipality of Wawa that are accessed from that road not be landlocked. So there has to be a mechanism put in place in this process to make sure that that road is open for public travel for the future for those other properties on the other side that need road access. So we're just would note back in a letter to be drafted back to Mitch McCotton that we look forward to working with them to make sure that that road has, whether it be surveyed out and transferred to the municipality or enter into a road service agreement, it's some way of making sure that that road is noted in council's concern back that, as staff would recommend to council, we support this initiative provided that road is protected for the remaining residents of our community. The Tremblay Flats area, just to note, and we should share with Mitch McCotton, might seem like a minor concern, but we may need legal advice at some time. But at the junction where the old rail bed crosses over Tremblay Flats Road, so yes, the tracks were taken up, and the rail bed area is already owned by Mitch McCotton, and if that's transferred to the reserve, we just need to make sure that somewhere, whether it's registered on title or again a road agreement, a road passes over the railway bed property. So we just need to make sure that we have a right of access to cross over reserve lands if this property is added to the reserve. The other considerations are general in nature and affect all the properties. And I would hope that council would support a letter back that would say, we look forward to future discussions around services that we might work together on providing, and that be things like fire agreements. So we do have a council-approved bylaw that we will support fire protection services to Mitch McCotton First Nation. But if this is going to be extended onto other reserve lands, then we just have to renew agreements and come together to understand if there's any request for services. It might be fire protection, might be even garbage collection. Those things are unknown, but in a letter from council back to Mitch McCotton, we should have it noted that we're willing to work and discuss and enter into discussions about these kinds of things. And I think lastly is the property tax loss. So by adding properties currently within the municipality of Wawa to a federal reserve, obviously there would be a loss of assessment to the municipality and the resulting loss of property tax. So there is provision within the additions to reserve legislation that exists that a municipality is able to ask for compensation. And that compensation is for what might be calculated to be a net tax loss to the municipality of having those properties added. What I'm not clear about, but again, it's just to note these and work with Mitch McCotton in the future to resolve it. What I can't share with council tonight, I read it over. If you can ask for only a 1-year compensation, obviously the compensation's not for the remainder or for eternity. It might be a one-time compensation to compensate for a 1 year's loss, or maybe 2 years. I'm not quite clear. It's not set out exactly how you calculate that, but for council's interest, the property tax loss using 2025 rates would be $18,000 or $18,143 would be the loss in tax revenue. So I think that should be something that council puts in their letter saying that we request some compensation for the tax loss, and look forward to working with Mitchell-Cotton and the parties involved to come up with a one-time payment. So in closing, council has the option of sending a letter of support to Mitchell-Cotton by May 4th, generally including the things that I've outlined for council in the report as concerns. And we do recommend to council that council support this initiative of additions to their reserve. And as the mayor said earlier, in reference to the Moose Hide campaign, it is a right step in reconciliation for Indigenous peoples in Canada as well as within our own area. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Maury. Is there any questions or comments from council? Councillor Councillor Cannon?
I agree with your recommendation of the letter of support and also putting in the concerns just to discuss. I mean, like you said, we don't have any say in it, but putting our concerns in, especially with the road access and everything, that will have to be addressed, because we don't want to cut off other people on that road to their places. So I think just putting your concerns in there, that'll open up the dialogue.
Councillor Hatfield?
Maury, I need to understand, do you happen to know where Patty Dyke's family cottage is? So that is from there to the road, eh? Like they're taking over all that?
Yes, and as Mitchell-Cotton staff shared with council at their meeting with council in March, those are properties owned and leased to some cottagers by Mitchell-Cotton, and all the cottage leases, they have been provided notice, and a substantial amount of notice that those leases are discontinued. I don't remember, and perhaps the mayor can recall, I think there was very few active leases. It was only like 2, I don't remember, 2 or a very small number of leases that were still active. So to answer your question, I think that lease is canceled or is in the process of being canceled. It is the property of Mitchell-Cotton, and it was leased from them.
They put their sign up, but that family's had that camp for 60 years, and I feel bad for them.
It was always a lease, and a lease holder is always entitled to, and yeah.
Councillor Hoffman?
And when I was reading this, it said something, because we don't plow in the winter from the Scenic High Falls Dam over to the railway crossing, and now maybe I'm wrong, but were we talking that the possibility they may want us to plow that section of road?
So thank you, Councillor Hoffman, for noting that. I think that in the letter back to Mitchell-Cotton, I think we have to note that our staff, our levels of service are to only plow Tremblay Flats to roughly the end of the, I always forget, I don't want to be insulted, the steel dump, what are they? Wawa Metal Recycling, excuse me. We only plow in the winter to there. And so noting in the letter back that we do not provide any winter road maintenance, no snow plowing, no garbage collection, no fire protection to that point and beyond. But we're always willing to sit and discuss should Mitchell-Cotton want services provided how we might, and it's not a guaranteed yes, but how we might work together if new services are required. And some options might be we enter into a service agreement and they pay the full cost, for example, of if snow removal services are to be extended down to another location within their reserve, or it may be that they contract out services to somebody else. But because that road is already in our ownership, it was surveyed years ago when the water power dams were put in, it would have to involve us. So it'd be working together to see if services are being requested farther than they're delivered. But ultimately, my recommendation today and likely in the future would be at Mitch-McCotton paying the full cost of the extension of that services.
Councillor Pato, do you have anything to add? Nothing to add. So I think obviously I'm aligned with your opinions and recommendations. I think this is a wonderful step moving forward, and I'm in full support of sending a letter to Mitch-McCotton First Nation, including our concerns outlined in this report. This was a commitment that we made to Maya and Chief Tangi when they did bring this issue to our attention a few weeks ago. So I know that Maya is waiting for our response. So I believe that you are looking for council to direct staff to complete this and send a letter on our behalf by the May 3rd deadline. I can't think of any other issues or concerns that we would like to raise. I believe that we've had this discussion with Maya. There's no surprises here, and it is our intention as a council and as a community that we want to continue to forge and strengthen our relationship with Mitch-McCotton First Nation. And I think this is the right way to do it. And so no resolutions, we'll just the direction received. So with that said, there are no items listed under item number 7, 8, 9, or 10. So we will move to adjourn. 11.1, close of meeting at 7:07 p.m.
Moved by Councillor Cannon, seconded by Councillor Hoffman. Resolved that the meeting close at 7:07 p.m.
All in favor? Carried. Thank you everyone for your good work, and have a great trip to Phenom. Our next meeting date will be resume the regular schedule on the second Tuesday in May. Perfect.